The Wade and Carter Show is a paid program. Magic 95 assumes no responsibility for its content, and the Wade and Carter Show. Professor Doomsday resigns. Senseless in Seattle. Minneapolis is on the move. Sheriff A.J. Louderback joins us. All that and more coming up on today's Wade and Carter Show.
Hey, one thing about this can, it never goes empty. It never, folks, this can of Lysol is 8 years old. It just keeps giving. That's unbelievable.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, sir. Very nice. Wade and Carter proud to bring you Victoria area weather. 64 degrees, just a beautiful morning in Victoria, Texas today. Heading to a high of 94. Just gorgeous. Sunny day.
When do these beautiful mornings end?
If Jeff Lyon can't promote Victoria today, he's got a problem. It's a Chamber of Commerce day.
Who's in this morning? Marvin Makers, first one in. Good morning to you, Marvin. Barbie Leister, good morning. Scott Tomko, Patrick Strauss. Still holding steady at 63 YouTube subscribers. People aren't listening. Making sure you got them on the right ear.
Yeah, and that makes me wonder. We were just talking about something, and that makes me wonder, would we get, if we threw a party, if Wade and Carter, it's not a party if nobody comes.
No.
Would people come to our party? It's a serious question. I've got an in on a band that wants to come and perform in Victoria. I've got it'd be different 60s, 70s, 80s dance music, but live band, big band, 6 or 7 pieces. And
when you say pieces, you're counting the kazoo.
Sure, that's me on
the mouth harp.
Me,
yeah.
That's me
the triangle.
On the triangle,
yeah.
And I also play a little tambourine. But and I am the self-anointed cowbell king. But I want to bring
6-piece band. It's one guy with a drum, and
I mean, look, I love it. I'm a groupie for the Scott Taylor Band. I can't wait. This Saturday night, Schrader Hall, I'm going out to listen to No Chance Band and what's it called? Captain Wonderful?
Captain Legendary Band.
Captain Legendary Band. Be great. They're great. I can't wait to go. And
so great you can't remember their name.
Yeah, well, I'm going to see my buddy Caleb Stout. But I love to mix it up with different types of music, and the music that this band plays is typically stuff you're only hearing from a DJ these days. Nobody, it's Sweet Caroline, and there's YMCA played live, stuff like that, fun dance, fun party night music. And I've already been looking at a couple of venues, and it's a big expense for 2 of us to consider putting out there, and I wonder if people would come. They won't know the band. Yeah. That's the point. They're going, wow, who are these guys?
Yeah.
So do we go or not? I need to know. I need some feedback.
Lisa Poole checking in. David Glass. Good
Lisa
morning.
Poole would be there. Bobby Leister would be there. See, Judge Sanchez would be there.
Bobby Leister says the second wave is here. Yeah, we'll see.
Is Bobby Leister, is he part of the doom and gloom contingent? Is he all like, I need some more hand sanitizer?
Joyce Posey, Chris Conrad, BJ Nelson, Christina Wise, Lacey Merriman.
Where did BJ make it? We made it
to Friday.
Oh, I thought she was going to say we made it to McQueenie.
My beautiful wife, Cheryl, checking in. HR Mallory.
That's in her contract, right?
Karen Webb.
You have to say my beautiful wife, Cheryl. Because I'm at the point now where I go, there's Ash and his beautiful wife, Cheryl. That's what I say to people.
I'll brainwash you. Although it didn't take much. She is beautiful. Sky Sanchez promises to be on her best behavior today. Appreciate that. Larry Lee checking in. Patrick Strauss says he'll be there.
Sky, you can just tell Sky was raised Catholic. She's just guilty, and she's confessing right there, and she's just.
Well, because remember yesterday I told her to watch.
She's giving atonement, and then she'll go right back to sinning. Yes, that's our Catholic moment with Sky Sanchez.
Every week.
Good morning. It starts over clean.
Patrick Strauss. seriously, in high school, I had a friend who was Catholic, and he said, "That's the best part."
Funky Trey Molina. Jake.
Dope. Andy Ria Jr., Marty Stockbauer.
If it's 64 here, it's got to be snowing in
Yeah,
sunny Alberta.
Probably is. Don
Look at
Nicole's
that.
in, Marvin
What did she
Mickish.
say? The band is really great. That's TLAT. That's multi-generational.
Yeah, but that's not objective. That's you. That's basically like
no.
You're an extension of her, so that's not an objective.
No, you know better than
Review.
that. You've been around me enough, Dawn and I together enough to know that she'll go, Brent, that's stupid.
I know.
Right.
I'm just teasing.
I'm telling you, the band is legit.
Marvin Mickish says banjo. Larry Lay says they'll be there. Chris Conrad says slide whistle. That's a deal breaker for Chris.
Wow, slide whistle. The pan flute. Remember late night TV when they used to have that
Sam Fear.
Yeah, the pan flute.
I'm wondering if I have a slide whistle somewhere.
Do you have
just because people might not know what the slide whistle is.
I'm not sure I do. That thing?
Yeah. See if this is it. Oh, I gotta mute that. There we go. Now this might be it. Let's see. Close.
That's close. Yeah.
Let's see if I got one. I'm pretty sure I got one somewhere.
Where do you get all this stuff? Play something else like Punchline 5. What is Punchline 5? What is Offense 3?
Where's that?
Right there, that gray one. What is that? Oh, that's okay. I like it. What's Offense 2? What's a kick groove? Right above it. Kick groove. Hey, live today. It's Friday. Welcome to the Wade and Carter program. We're going to juice it up a little this evening.
This sounds like every
Night Rider.
Every track that was under the DJ when he was telling you the shot special at the bar in the 80s, doesn't
On
it?
the main stage, it's Fantasia. Gentlemen, get your ones out and get close to the stage.
No, it's not quite that.
No, do you have that?
No, I don't think I have that. That was just every hair band in the 80s. That sounds like, all right, folks, at the Sugar Bar.
Folks, they just play on your brain. And Ash has got a million of these things. Like, I could be like, well, not that it would surprise y'all that I could be like a little kid and play those things. But
Scott says he's bringing the whiskey and the cognac to the party. So there you go.
See, right then, and on Monday, I'm
Clayton
sorry
Hill,
for the way I acted.
Scott
I'm sorry.
Snow, Rena Scherer. They'll be
Rena.
there. Monica Jost, Sheriff Louderback checking in. Jeremy Levitt. Good morning to you, Jeremy. I know you're
Sheriff Louderback's like texting on horseback on his way over here. That's the problem. I'm worried for him. He better be safe.
Matt Boucher, Sherry Lynch, Wendell Geigel, Clayton Hill, Adam Sugar.
When
Trey Molina asked if the Rafiro kid got drafted. I don't know.
The Jared Kelly. He's a phenom. He was at one point he was shown on ESPN as to be the best player available.
Here's the problem with how these drafts have gone now. Thought he was going to be a first-round pick.
Right. Now do you go to college?
All sorts of stuff. He wasn't. People watching. That's how heartbreaking is that? You set a kid up and then it doesn't happen.
Well, how about this, though? How about when you get drafted in the 5th round or whatever, and there's no minor league baseball?
Well,
and you're not ready for the big leagues, so what are you going to do? I think the kid ought to go to Texas.
Marcy Granlund says, yes, White Sox 2nd round. Thank you. Scott Tomko says White Sox.
Oh, good. I bet Marcy knows.
I'll be honest, this with the way there's no sports, I've kind of lost track of all this stuff.
2nd round of the White Sox. He made some cheese yesterday.
Probably.
Yeah.
So what are the odds he makes it?
Pretty good, I think.
They draft 100 million kids per team every June.
Apparently this kid's legit.
Yeah. No, that's good. I hope he does. And they think you do if they're picking you in the 2nd round.
Yeah.
Not like they're waiting for 37 to take a flyer on you.
You got drafted yesterday in the 8th round.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right after Pepper as a utility infielder. You're a utility guy.
See, he can't be there because there's signs on all the ballparks, no pepper allowed.
Right. I did talk to a friend of mine yesterday that's a baseball junkie, and he said that Major League Baseball could solve their problem if they would go back in good faith to the MLBPA, the Players Association, and say, look, we don't want what the players don't want to do is share in any of the risk, because the risk for the owners is that you run out an 80-game season, which is a deficit. It costs the owners more to do that than a 50-game season. They're going to lose money. The owners don't make money until the playoffs. TV, fans, all that. The playoffs is when they're going to make money. If something were to happen with a second wave, late September before the October playoffs, and there's no playoffs, the owners really take it in the shorts. He says, go to the players and offer, hey, if you'll share in the potential downside here, maybe you work off a prorated 2/3 of your salary. I just made that up. 2/3 of your salary. Then when we get to the playoffs, you'll share in a bigger share of the playoff money, because America will be clamoring for baseball. The television revenue will be unbelievable for baseball playoff revenue.
Well, it shows you the distrust though between the players and the
No
owners and the information, right?
Adversarial relationship.
Because if it was truly, if the numbers are what they are, they would understand that without fans in the seats, there's going to be a hit on the revenue.
There's a large distrust because they don't believe the owners ever give them the true numbers.
Well, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see.
But imagine like if you're the Houston franchise, imagine how many $8 beers you're not selling. That, by the way, you're buying for $1, if that, because you're providing sponsorship, Miller Lite and all those people advertising your stadium.
Yeah. But don't forget, they don't own that anymore. They piece it out to Aramark and get,
Well, they just sub out the labor.
And the product. And they basically release their space, and they become almost
like a mall.
A mall. Percentage of revenue and all that stuff.
It's a
Square
big
foot.
percentage.
I'm sure it is. Jeremy Pena checking in. Johnny Houghton.
What did BJ ask you?
Asked if I'm doing the PA for the Generals again. Yeah, I've told Mike he'll come out. We'll do it again this year.
Yes, he's a glory hound. He has to sneak off and do things on his own.
It's fun.
It's not, it's kind of contrary to the brand, the Wade and Carter. He goes off and does his own thing. It's kind of like working with Mike Greenberg. Just does his own thing.
Been doing that long before.
I know.
You ever
existed. Before I brought you immense celebrity. By the way, there was a fan voting section in the Red River Athletic Director of the Year, and I did vote for you 57,346 times.
Appreciate that. You pushed me over the edge.
Yeah, you're looking good. That guy from Shreveport was looking pretty good till I got in there. Louisiana Shreveport or whatever it was. I got the hammer on him.
LSU Shreveport.
Yeah.
Lucas Morgan does a good job.
He's a nice guy, but he didn't pony up like you did. He's out.
Sky Sanchez says she's surprised Victoria County opened up their little league. Saw some kids out there yesterday. They weren't social distancing.
Let me tell you, there's so many Little League parents. I've been a Little League parent. Of course, I had Kyle that went all the way through, and now I have Caden and Ryland that are going through Little League. And it's so humorous to me because when you're doing it the first time, I'm kind of doing it now like a grandpa, When you're doing it the first time, you get caught up in, that kid's really
Even though you're not, you're just as old as all the grandpas there.
Sure. They're all like, I've been at Riverside when the lady behind the counter goes, is Granddad letting you have a snack? I go, how long have you been pregnant? She wasn't. She's just fat. How far along are you? She goes, what? I'm not pregnant. I said, I'm not his granddad either, lady. So you watch these Little League parents and you see the kid.
I was standing behind you.
The kid's like 8 years old, and he's got the Nike sweatbands and the Mizuno cleats, and he's got this and that and the other thing, and Under Armour and all that. And the kid can't play a lick. I got bad news for you too. Baseball is one of those sports. The best are their naturals. Chipper Jones always hit 400. Okay, Barry Bonds hit home runs when he was 8. I'm telling you. Doug Drabick was the best player in Victoria Little League the whole time we were there. It's just the way it is. And when you see little lumpy frumpy out there trying to play some first base and his dad goes, he's just like Prince Fielder. No, he's not. He's fat. He plays video games all day. It drives you nuts.
Yeah, no, it really
The
does.
Little League parents.
There was a lesson to be learned in the Bad News Bears.
Yes.
Let them play.
Right.
Let them play. Just let them play at that age.
I've seen kids that had talent get burned out and decide, I'm out of here. Now, I had a conversation
See it quite often, to be honest.
our buddy Mike Brown.
Yep.
His son Trent is at OU. So Trent got out of high school a year ahead of Kyle. And he went and played. He was going to play junior college ball. And then he hurt his shoulder and he got a medical red shirt. And he played a year. And then he was at OU this year, was off to a pretty good start. And then they had to cancel their season. So he gets the year back. I talked to him the other day. He goes, yeah, I'm going to be the 30-year-old junior playing baseball at OU. He'll never – he had the talent probably to go play at the next level, but he'll never get there now because he's 30.
Well, that's an interesting shift because Major League Baseball typically won't take flyers on older kids who've had injuries, right? A couple injuries set you back a couple of years. They're usually not drafting those kids, even in the late rounds. They'd rather take a kid that has – and I've argued, why wouldn't you take a chance on someone who's a little bit older,
right?
Who's a little bit more mature. He's not going to go into the minors. Move him up. If you're taking a flyer on a kid late rounds, so put him where you think he should be at that age. If that's A ball instead of rookie ball, throw him in there and see if he can handle it. If he can't, the decision's made for you. And if he can, You've got somebody who's right where he should be from a baseball perspective because he's a little bit older. He's probably, you would think a little bit more mature. He's going to take it more seriously.
Well, they've got a sense of urgency.
But it'll be interesting to see if baseball makes the shift then in a few years when these kids that lost this year in the spring, are they going to draft these kids?
Yeah.
Because typically they won't.
You have to wonder how many major leaguers, if they were honest, and the number might be surprisingly low, but how many major leaguers, if they were honest, would say, man, that couple of years when I was in the minors, I really wish I would have worked more on blank and gotten better at blank.
Oh, I'm sure a lot of them.
And just say, I wish I'd have been a better base runner, or so-and-so told me to work hard every day, and I remember taking games off. I wonder.
How many minor leaguers whose career ended in the minors?
That's right.
Man, I wish I would have listened to that coach a little bit more.
But, when you see a kid, and in nurturing talent is one thing, I know for a fact that most NFL players feel like they were driven at the hands of abusive parents. That's a true story. I've read studies on that they asked the kid, what's the worst thing about going home after a game? And the kid always said, the car ride home with my dad. You should have done this. You could have done that. And what I found interesting was that poll was taken with 165 kids, college graduates, their eligibility was up, who were at an NFL combine. So you see the correlation between not being coddled by your parents and making it to the NFL combine. They all said, oh, yeah, the worst part was my dad, the debrief. The debrief is what was so harsh.
Stephen Kidder checking in. Chris Conrad says, Ash, how many hockey players did we grow up with who hung them up at 16 years, who played 12 straight years with 3 weeks off every year? Lots. But you go back and you look at a kid like Chipper Jones and you're thinking, oh, this guy's just a young kid playing baseball. His dad moved him across town to go to a different high school because he wasn't getting the coaching that he wanted. And, when you see these kids. That's why we have transfer rules in place.
Well, yeah. But when you see these kids that play at the major league level, number one, the first thing that gets me is 9 out of 10 are physical specimens.
Yeah.
So you got to find a kid with great eyesight, great hand-eye coordination, and then God gave them a body, and somewhere they had to take over from their parents saying, hey, little Johnny, go throw the ball, and they had to have the want to. People like Derek Jeter, they come along once in a lifetime. once in a lifetime to have the body and the capability and the gumption to get out there and do it.
Here's what it is to me. It's a bunch of parents who see their kid as their lottery ticket.
Yes. And your kid's just not. Little Johnny is not your lottery ticket. Little Johnny will never play in the big leagues. I could write a children's book.
The numbers bear that out. I mean, it's the percentages are minuscule. I mean, especially if you start with the number of kids in Little League across this country every year, how many will make it to the major leagues? You almost can't comprehend how small that number is.
I should write a children's book for Little League parents called Little Johnny Ain't Going to the Show.
And the second book should be Leave the Ref Alone.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
I don't agree with that. I used to yell at refs. I enjoyed it.
When your kid's 8?
I got kicked out of a YMCA.
And the kid's 16 working the bases because he's looking for a little spending cash, or she's looking for a little spending cash, and you're yelling at him like.
That kid was my favorite.
I guess.
Your parents hate you.
I guess that's because, they bet on the game, maybe.
Sure. We digress. We have a couple of things to talk about after we talk about Allen's Rigger Service, 578-6300. Allen's is your go-to tow-to. Got a big rig on the side of the road. On its side, Allen's got a crane, 75-ton. You got a Yugo that needs to get to Atzenhofer. He's got a flatbed that'll scoop it up and take it wherever you want. If you're a postal worker, 578-6300. I see Allen toting around those little AMC postal machines all the time. 578-6300. The VCS company's Rocket Oilfield Services.
They weren't AMC, they're American General.
Oh, and
AMC went away years ago.
The only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer, all part of the Hartman Communication Empire. Just yesterday, had to have some service work done on my projector. Had a nice young man come out. Colby came out, helped me rig it back up. And I remember looking at the screen and going, wow, look at that picture.
Nice.
The VCS companies can help you with a home theater, surround sound, all types of things. Give them a call. SCT Building Systems, Clayton Casey Health can help your dreams come true.
564-8864 is the number to call.
You need a barn dominium, a metal building. You want bricks and sticks, concrete form,
man caves, she sheds.
Call them. 564-8864. And then, of course, Chesnick Furniture Company. Chesnick and Love make your house a home, and you just do better at Chesnick. I'm looking out there in our lobby.
Yeah.
Well, 100 years, by the way. No. Sheriff Louderback just caught my attention because it's not every day a guy walks through our lobby with a cocked .45 automatic.
Pointed at you?
Right. Yeah. Why is he looking down the barrel at me?
He's doing this with his head, telling me to get out of the way.
He's looking at me going, Trichicon. So he wouldn't look. He'd be very swift.
You had a point after the break before we bring the sheriff in.
Did I?
Yeah, you said you did, but apparently you forgot it.
Huh?
Do we want to get to what's going on in Seattle real quick?
50% off on furniture at Chesnick.
Do we want to get in on, let's see, I think there were a couple of comments.
I want to talk to the sheriff. I want his knee jerk about what's going on. We call it senseless in Seattle.
We may not get to everything today, but maybe we can try to work some of this stuff in, because the one thing I would like to say, because I think, people have said, oh, here comes the second wave. At least that idiot at the London College of whatever it was that we used whose model, Neil Ferguson. Thank you, Sheriff. I knew the last name. I couldn't remember the first name.
Content director, AJ Louderback.
But this is the guy, if you recall, said there were going to be 2 million deaths in the United States, and that was what we based our response on. And now he's finally resigned.
It's not like 2 million people died and we shut down the economy. It's like we got afraid of 2 million people dying, so we shut down the economy.
Yeah, no. And here's the thing. This isn't the first time. This guy did the same thing with the mad cow disease. He's done this with almost every health issue pandemic that's come along, and he's made $1 gazillion out of it. So now he resigns in disgrace. They're trying to make him out like some sort of martyr. No, he's resigning because he's made a career. I wouldn't even say resigning. He's made a 30-year career out of this. He's probably retiring.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the deal. If you're in the Seattle area, give us a call, just a 10-second call, 361-578-6300.
575.
9509. If you're in the Seattle area, give us a call and just give us like what the feeling is there. That's what gets me. You know, here it's easy for us to go, them people are crazy up there.
Well, they are. But how do you commandeer what is a 6-block area of town?
I'd
Call it your own? Is that, I mean, to me, that's.
What do you think would happen if somebody just decided to take over the square in downtown Edner? You think Sheriff Ladderback, oh, goody, we get to use our SWAT toys. I mean, they would be out.
No, I think he's
there.
looking at you because we have a square.
Yeah. Well, they got it. Hey, they actually have a courthouse sitting on it. Yeah, I can just imagine. It would be ugly as Sheriff Ladderback.
Jennifer Castle says she's outside of Seattle, and them people are crazy. How do you take ownership of a sovereign space of a nation, and the country just stands by and does nothing?
President Trump's not going to do nothing. They're trying to bait him into killing somebody. That's what they're doing. They want the president to shoot somebody so they can make President Trump like Derek Chauvin. I'm telling you, I saw him yesterday on Twitter, said the super liberal Jay Inslee, the governor up there, and the mayor of Seattle.
Super liberal. That's the nicest thing he's been called by a lot of people in the last couple of weeks.
Said you better get a grip on it or I will. So, Sheriff, come in here and would you do your filmography and turn it so you look sharp this morning. You can go on the backside and you can see he does this every time. And he doesn't ever really.
It's a great looking tie, by the way.
It is a good looking tie. It's very conservative. It's almost like the man's a Republican.
There's a little lag, but I think you'll be okay.
I think you're good.
Yeah.
You're good there. Let's try that.
Let's step to the mic. Yeah, you'll be good. There you go. All right.
The man in the big hat is buying. That's the way I'm looking at it. I was going to tell you.
The look he just gave you?
Yeah, well, he gives me that look a lot. It always cracks me. He does it at my house, too. Like, he'll just give me that, really? Is that what you really think? I'm like, are you really that dumb?
You saw that look a lot growing up. That's
did.
the look your dad gives you every time he's disappointed in you. And you saw it every day.
As I've gotten older, I've realized that most of the positive influences in my life were older white men with really mean looks. That's what I got most of my. So without much ado, here's a man that taught Chuck Norris how to take a punch. Sheriff A.J. Ladderback is in the house. He seems befuddled a little bit by the microphone.
Jackson County Sheriff. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
You might have to hold that mic up. It doesn't seem to be wanting to stay in. You can hold it. It won't make any noise. We'll be good. There we go.
There you go.
So,
well,
good to see you both of you.
Shifting to a serious note, we had talked off the air about all the lunacy that's going on and everything. By the way, Dawn Nicole says good morning, AJ.
Good morning.
Just walk us through some of this craziness about defunding police, what that really means, and where. I mean, I think I know where you're going to stand on something like that. I heard one the other day said, here's what happens if we defund the police. You call 911 and the lady goes, oh, that's someone's breaking into my house. That's terrible. We're sending out thoughts and prayers. Everybody wants.
They check with a hairdresser.
Right. Check with a hairdresser. Tell us, just take a minute, give us your perspective.
Let's look at this a couple of different ways. And maybe one of the better ways to talk about this early is what's happening in Seattle. It's you got to ask yourself, where is my America today? What's actually happened to us? How do we give up police precincts? How do we give up 6 square blocks? How do we have an autonomous zone? Where is the National Guard? Where are folks? Definitely, elections have consequences. When you elect people in power who act this way, of course, the police chief there, I believe, is named Carmen Best at the Seattle Police Department. So they, you got to understand that this police precinct station that they left, this is complete with weapons, M4s, ammunition. These are AR-15s. This is military police grade equipment, vests, helmets, flag gear, all that stuff was left there in the building. We also now have reports of numerous extortion cases in that area. where people are being terrorized by government decisions there in Seattle. And it's not the only city that we've seen that has succumbed to this. And this all started in Minneapolis, where the vast majority, over 90%, anyone who saw the video on the George Floyd issue knew that was wrong. We already had a nation who saw that this was a police act that was not condoned, at the very least, by police. We don't condone that kind of behavior. We can't. It's not the way we do business. And now we have people who have hijacked that cause and probably set back those neighborhoods at least a decade on their conduct and behavior as to what they've done. As the whole issue with George Floyd has been hijacked. Black Lives Matter, they don't represent Black America at all.
Right.
I've heard that. I've texted my phone where they don't represent blacks. I mean, we had a 24-hour period, May 31st in Chicago, 60 murders in a 24-hour period. Majority black. And where's the outrage? Where's anyone saying anything about that? Where's the representation for black? But now we have opportunistic looters,
Opportunistic politicians.
That will use this to try to affect some type of reform, criminal justice reform, which has long been an issue throughout the country as to just exactly how law enforcement can operate, and we change. We're the best training we've ever been, and our training requirements continue to go up, which I'm sure they will. After this, there'll be many things starting January in the Texas legislature, which will address. There was already the governor was already asked to do a special session for criminal justice reform, where State Representative Garnet Coleman, who was responsible for flagging the first initial Bland Act, which later became Senator Whitmire's bill and was passed as a Bland Act as a Senate bill. So I've already seen things where they want to come in and essentially take law enforcement to an area where conduct and behavior is acceptable in so many areas. When you see criminal justice reform, in many ways, we simply see where people won't be going to prison or incarcerated for any length of time at all.
Right.
So, and yet we have in our country, and in Texas, we have higher crime rates. We have issues in every community. We have destabilization from folks everywhere. People aren't comfortable that things are any better at all, and yet the answer seems to be, let's do less and let's have less law enforcement.
Which is interesting because these people's usual answer to everything is more government.
It is, and this has elements of more government in it. But the defund police issue, which will segue into that, is it's either abolish the police.
That's just lunacy.
Well, I'm not going to comment about that. But in Seattle, Lisa Bender, the president of the council, was for abolishing police and finding some alternative for people. So that alternative was vague at best.
Adam Daughtry asked, how was a city council member able to get away with leading protesters in Seattle? And Jennifer Caslow, who's up that way, says that the council member used her key to let these protesters into city council after hours. I read a little bit about this.
She ought to be arrested.
Well, Governor Walz, his daughter is involved in this. Bill de Blasio's daughter is involved in these things. There's a lot of folks who are in positions of information that can be leaked.
Our buddy Bob Constantine, an old Marine, by the way, has the logical response. Why don't we just send the military in there and take it back? It's domestic terrorism.
It is.
And I don't have a problem with that.
And I believe that
I think that's what they're trying to do, though. I think they're trying to bait the president into taking that action. And I think Lisa Poole had a great comment on it. I tend to agree with her. Let them suffer in their own misery. This is what they have created.
Turn the power off and don't let them out.
Let them suffer. Because if that happens, it's exactly what they want the president to do.
But what if I'm a shop owner who happens to be, it's a 6-block area of downtown Seattle. I mean, what if I've got a business there?
Next to the Capitol Hill area, which if I recall from my time in Eastern Washington, but making the trips over, that was a pretty nice area of town.
It certainly is.
But what if? I mean, what if you're a shop owner down there and your business is somewhat held hostage?
Well, you do what the guy in Minneapolis said he's going to do, who had his business destroyed. He'd been there since 1987, right? He'd been there, manufacturing plant, 50 plus jobs, burned to the ground. He said, I'm done. I'm out of here. I'm out of Minneapolis. Done.
Where do you think Adam Daugherty put something on there? Just, Sharia law is next. Where do you see the next opportunistic faction coming in and saying, hey, we can solve this problem? Or, because there are people obviously in the country.
Is it citizens that might?
Well, we're suffering anarchy now. I mean, that's what's happening in all of our major cities. They've all suffered the same issue, and they all have several common things in place. Every one of them, Democrat controlled,
right?
Democrat elected, and that's and the choices and decisions they make have gotten them where they are. So I agree with one of the listeners that these situations. That's my point about elections have consequences and who you put in power,
right?
And how you're going to conduct yourself, and what kind of social disorder are you going to do? Are you going to maintain control, or are you not? And so many of these businesses have been destroyed. Lives have been destroyed. Many of them black businesses, and they were destroyed by white kids acting as if they were representing Black Lives Matter. And the black community is very upset about that.
Yes.
But it's but a lot of this is about Black Lives Matter is about money. It's not about.
Look no further than what they're trying to accomplish in Fort Worth with put the people we want in place to lead these things. It's not about fixing the issues that they see. It's about getting people they want in place of power.
Well, I made the comment the other day, and it's not necessarily popular, but I believe it's the truth, that the Black Lives Matter movement has done everything they can publicly to disassociate themselves from the violence and the rioting and the looting. However, without the threat, the implied threat of the violence, the rioting, and the looting, they've got no clout. Black Lives Matter only has clout as an organization or a loosely held affiliation, because if you don't do what we say, we can't be responsible when other people riot and loot. And so if you say, well, if you're a peaceful organization, you just don't have enough numbers you can't come in here and dictate public policy. You don't have enough stroke.
Listen, I think the public has to understand that you don't have the type of violence that we're seeing in the United States without some paid organization.
Right.
You don't get pallets and bricks. You don't get comm equipment, communications equipment, earpieces, military grade, law enforcement type grade communication systems. You don't get van loads of milk being brought to Dallas. You don't get things appearing in certain places. You don't get people with prepackaged Molotov cocktails and backpacks that are handed out. You don't get those kind of things without a high level of. But
the media will have you believe, and I'm assuming you've got some pretty good intel on this, but the media would have you believe that's all BS. The reports, that stuff, that's what they're telling people. That's how intrinsic the media is and involved the media is in what I'm calling a coup. Because they will take that information that you're a credible law enforcement official with credible information, and they'll say, that's bullcrap. We see it. They're trying to debunk this stuff. They call it fake news. They call it false information on social media.
No, it's clearly the case. I mean,
Soros.
Thank you for that.
GeorgeSoros.com is where you can sign up for pay.
Sure.
On that issue. But no, it's in many ways, this whole episode that we see today of social disorder, anarchy, manufactured crisis, hijacking of an issue that everyone knew was a bad act by a person and 3 other folks who were complicit in allowing that to happen. And our criminal justice system acted quickly to take care of that.
And the country came together over that issue. Everybody was, I mean, from Limbaugh to Glenn Beck to the most conservative people all said, we denounce this. This is terrible. This can't, and it's like, well,
And
how are we going to blame Trump?
so did the Don Lemons and Rachel Maddows of the world as well.
Yeah. How are
And
we
all of
gonna
a sudden they
blame
went,
Trump?
oh, we can't agree with them.
And it's I passionately tell you that that is not the police norm that we have.
Of course
But
not.
it's simply not. And none of us have ever condoned that. We don't condone what happened to George Floyd at all. But the hijacking of that situation is wrong. And that's, and I think order has to be restored here. There's no, serve and protect in our business and profession is first and foremost. So when we, to avert a larger problem, and you allow billions of dollars in damages and lives, from lives lost, to property lost, to businesses lost, many of them black owned. This is not, this isn't government.
I heard one of those impassioned speakers the other day saying, black people are being slaughtered in the streets by police departments. And I thought, that's just a lie. That's just a lie.
Yeah, no.
You know?
Let's take our final break, and then that'll allow us to get as much time with Sheriff Louderback as we can. So we'll combine our final 2 breaks here, and then we'll come back for
Real
more
quick,
discussion.
Jason, today is Friday. It's your last chance this week to get into Veracruz, get in and get out. I mean, make room for somebody else. Mexican food matters. Get in there. Make it happen.
576-6015. I think restaurants today go up to 75% capacity.
You can get it to go. They're still doing social distancing and taking care of you and your family. Razor IT Solutions, JP Hull and his team will help you with your analytics, your Facebook presence, your brand, your website, whatever you need. We need AndyLouderback.com, you know?
Probably exists.
Probably does exist. Razor IT Solutions can make that even jazzier.
Give John Paul Hull a call. Speaking of online, if you want a car and you don't want to leave your comfort of your living room, get to AdsonOffer.com. Just surf on over there, check out all the makes and models that they have pre-owned. If you're looking for brand new Chevrolet, Cadillac, Mitsubishi, Mazda, you can buy a pre-owned or brand new vehicle from the comfort of your living room at AdsonOffer.com.
They're always a leader. They've been on the internet since 1926. Just nobody had a computer. So there you have it.
Or
White
internet.
Trash Services, BJ, Scott Nelson, their team, 550-1826.
Yeah, what is this month? They're celebrating an anniversary.
2190. They've been in
Is that
business
what it is?
2190 days. They're not getting all bogged down in the years. It's
No, they
the
take count. They count the days that have gone by.
because they earn it one day at a time. 2190 days. White Trash Services.
550-1826. Give them a call.
There you have it. Dwayne Parker, GDP Text, 550-4744.
Great Barn Design, folks. If you got an event coming up and you want it to look absolutely the best that it can, give Cheryl a call, 920-6803. She'll listen to your ideas and bring them to life and make the event as memorable as you want it to look.
2 of the best for last. Uncle Much Barbecue, open 7 days a week. Go by today. Brisket, ribs, sausage, chicken, turkey, all the side dishes. You can get it to go, take it home, save it over the weekend. Nothing quite like a little cold brisket bender fold over with a little sauce on it. Get in there and make that's a great breakfast. Breakfast of champions.
And then Went Services, folks, for all your electrical needs.
They have some plumbing stuff they can do.
Yeah,
They'll do you a Generite generator, solar panels, battery backups. Reach out to Went for all. If it's electric, reach out to Went.
They can do it all.
There you go.
Sheriff, I sense a lot of frustration in your voice.
Well, it's a frustrating time when law enforcement, professional law enforcement across this nation is under constant attack here. And we're not seeing any very few politicians. I ask sometimes where's the Republican Party even on this issue? I'm not seeing a whole lot of anything. Seems to be a lot of fear of anyone speaking out for some of the positive things that happen on a 24-hour basis. Law enforcement in this country certainly always has a need to improve, as in everything. And I'm not against any of those things. And we simply change and morph and um, there are some places where we go back to defunding law enforcement. I started with there are many who want to abolish law enforcement, and then you'll notice that in several of our major cities where they're defunding law enforcement, taking money out of the law enforcement budget, and then moving that over to social services. And so the issue here in our state is you couldn't take money out of much. Take Victoria PD, for example. The city couldn't take $1 billion out of Victoria PD's budget. They would be unable to operate because they operate that slim. So, the water level on our budget is there's no fluff in those budgets. They're cut very fine. But social services, in one area of the United States, I think it's Camden, New Jersey, where the city defunded the law enforcement, actually stopped and did away with Camden Police Department and went to a metropolitan type unit because they were paying an average of $186,000 because of the union issue.
Wow.
And they were able to save, when they abolished the police department, they went to $92,000 and they saved several $1 million each year, more than that. And we're able to put that money to work in other areas. So for mental health, social services, things like that, we struggle here in the state of Texas with those things. But that money can't come from the sheriff's office budget.
Jennifer Kaslow says Seattle spends billions already on social services, and the problem is getting worse. There's just no accountability at these agencies.
Because it's all about how people feel. It's not really about what people do. It's about how they feel.
So the defund issue, it just depends. You got to pay attention to the details on what they're actually asking for and what they think can happen. And all these things have been discussed at the last 4 sessions.
That's what I'm saying. Go see what they're trying to do in Fort Worth with defunding the police, because it's not about defunding the police and using that money to try to make better policing.
I'll tell you the number one thing here that I noticed on Black Lives Matter that they asked or demanded, and that was to take away qualified immunity for law enforcement so that it was suable. Well, that's a monetary issue.
Yeah, that's
yep.
You see here, Torrin Bale says Sheriff Louderback for president of Texas. Is it in these crazy times? Is it that far-fetched to think that if the government allows, even local government, state government allows a portion of a city to be cordoned off and basically declare itself not part of Washington, is it crazy talk to talk about secession and the idea that enough people in Texas might say, we just don't want any part of your garbage anymore?
Well, secession, that's a whole other session. It's going to be a time for us to talk about secession, but today's not it. But as far as coming into Victoria or any of these cities around here in the 10-county area, I don't see any of that happening for a second.
Good.
Anarchy, total we're not here for social disorder. That's not what we're about. And I guarantee you, we had a group between probably less than 300 last week.
Right.
There were 4 county sheriffs in this county, in the city of Victoria, that were here for able to support. So if there's one thing that the Gulf Coast region has, that's unity. And I believe that will exist all over the state of Texas. In many states that we have operate on the same thing. So our folks are not able to, we're more than willing to come and help right away and be a part and restore order the best we can.
H.R. Mallory says several professional athletes have signed off on requesting Congress end qualified immunity.
Clearly, but that's ask yourself what that's about.
Yeah, that's about suing the county for money.
Absolutely, and it's individually. Suing police officers individually.
So let me put that back on these athletes. So when you hit a foul ball into the stands and it hurts somebody, they don't sue the player.
They have immunity for it.
So
But understand the complications there.
Yeah.
And understand this too, that currently today, not just here in Texas, but every state has a systemic loss of people that we can't do. So, I mean, it takes humans to run these vehicles.
Right.
And what will happen here, if you want to defund the police, if you want to take qualified immunity away, what does that do?
Makes people not want to be police officers.
Absolutely. And we've already had that. We've already been suffering from that for the last 5 years. And it just grows worse. This issue will drive law enforcement out.
And then you open the door for a foreign entity or a NATO type thing to come in and restore.
Wow, they're
order.
talking for that already, UN peacekeepers and such. Give me a break.
Yeah, already done. You look at socialism, you look at Marxist type theory stuff that's happening here right before our very eyes. And so the public has to pay attention here. This is a much more serious issue than a lot of people are taking the time to look at.
BJ Nelson says the Cajun Navy needs to go to Seattle and straighten those people out. Can you imagine if a bunch of Cajuns descended on Seattle and you people look pretty uphill?
Yeah, I don't know. They've taken some weird stances lately too, so I don't know.
I've had some calls from. This will give rise to citizenry, and I always find it. Very enlightening where government in Seattle wants to make sure that no citizen has a firearm because police will be there to protect you.
Right.
This has long been a standard of the Democratic Party, actually, that one of their foundational structures is gun control.
Right.
One of those major arguments is we have law enforcement. Well, when we have law enforcement who's told don't protect property or people, what's that going to come to? So,
right.
Blow it up.
Well, why do you think it is that
Kevin Myers says a well-armed and trained citizenry is the ultimate backup to law enforcement? What I find interesting is the narratives are starting to crumble because their whole narrative has been built on these militias are nothing but gun-toting crazy fools who'll shoot anybody at the drop of a hat. They're not doing it. The gun-toting crazy fools are these idiots commandeering 6 square blocks in Seattle.
Well, and also, none of those gun-toting fools were many of our looters they didn't bother those areas.
That's right.
Well,
that's because they're not gun-toting fools. They're responsible, law-abiding, responsible firearm-owning citizens who know their rights and have said, you mess with me, you're going to be on the wrong end of this, and I've got laws to back me up, and they took heed to that. But their narrative has fallen apart trying to paint folks as gun-toting racists like the Cajun Navy. The only ones running up there and causing heck and infringing on people's rights are these radical leftists. They're the only ones doing it.
Well, when law enforcement is ordered out of your neighborhoods, you don't have some unity there in your neighborhoods, you don't have the ability to protect your own life and property, then we've got true anarchy.
Right.
Yeah, that's
and then you don't have a country. You don't have a country at that point.
H.R. Mallory says, can we all agree we can't let them take away Chase from Paw Patrol?
I promise you, Sheriff Lauterbach does not watch Paw Patrol. He's a grandfather and doesn't watch Paw Patrol. Turn it off.
He watches
Put
Paw
that
Patrol.
on ESPN, kid. We're going to watch some baseball highlights. I've been concerned.
When that grandson or grandkid is screaming and Paw Patrol calms him down, you watch Paw Patrol.
When I'm trying to and I think Ash and our record's been clear here. We were very, very upfront that the George Floyd killing was senseless and wrong. We were among the first to report that the 4 officers had been charged. All that type of stuff we've been consistent on. And I had a fundamental problem with, 2 weeks after the effect, we finally decided to, organize our own Black Lives Matter rally. A waste of time, a waste of city resources, a waste. And I made the comment, just because you have the right to protest doesn't make it smart to protest. And it's not that Victorians don't care, because I've had numerous, I was going to say hundreds, it may not be hundreds, but I've had numerous people say, hey, thank y'all for calling it straight, that this was wrong. We all agree. If we're all in agreement, which the country was fairly unified that this guy was done wrong, you don't have to protest for that. We all agree. that it was wrong. There's nothing to protest. The outrage. Who are you outraged at? That we all agree. And the same kind of thing now, we've got a push here by someone who I'm sure means well, but they want to try to take down the statue of the Confederate soldiers on the square because somehow someone who's not from here determined that it was a slap in the face. I feel this. Fake outrage is an overused phrase, but there's a lot of it. And then people get emotional, and I see these riots on TV and stuff, and it's white people. It's not like all those crazy black people are going nuts and causing problems. That's not the case. It's crazy white people because, we all knew those kids.
Because they're the Marxist socialists. They're the Antifa folks.
And I'm telling the truth. We all knew those kids in school. Like, that guy's just weird. We knew him. He was weird. Well, guess what? He's a granddad now to some of these kids that are out there doing this stuff. His kids, the people that you thought were too crazy to be in school when you were in school, well, they paired up and had kids. And then they divorced and they went different directions. And the breakdown of the American family has led to a lot of these latchkey idiots that don't have any responsibility. And they got nothing to lose. They're sniffing glue and doing meth and running around like crazy people. And that's the white ones. So this is not a racist remark. There's a bunch of white trash idiots hopped up on crystal meth, running around with their jagged-looking teeth that just need to be shot.
Clearly in Dallas, there was a large white population that were leading the charges down the streets.
And then, Acme brick stock went up 25% that week. Who's dropping those pallets off? Is that the Antifa organizers that they stand behind the crowd, throw the first brick, and then they jet?
It's Antifa. I'm proud of the president for stepping up and declaring them and starting the process to get them listed as a terroristic organization, which they are. And this is probably overdue because this will allow the money to be tracked, which is the real power of
and the assets to be seized.
Absolutely. So we have some things that are going to happen with Antifa for sure.
Take a second, and we know that you're very supportive of the president, that you've actually spent lots of time with the president. Tell us where you see his philosophy, what he's doing here, and then tell me where you see potential pitfalls or opportunities for him. Just your thoughts on Donald Trump's stance on things in general, and where you see things that could help him or hurt him.
Well, the president's gut instincts are spot on almost everything. We wouldn't have seen the most massive regulatory takeover of the United States under COVID if the president would have had his own way about it. But that's what we have with the COVID issue. So, and we'll get through that as we will most things. He'll get through this. There's the combined power of the networks of the mass media, the major media. The president can do anything. So it doesn't matter what he does. He's going to. But I believe that very, very quickly we'll see, probably within the next 3 days, where the Seattle issue is solved, either with federal forces. I'm not sure if he'll bring in the military or not, but I believe that federal forces, in the form of the Department of Homeland Security, will be sent down. They will resecure that.
SEAL Team 6.
Well, so here's my next question. How do you, because the media is against you. They're looking for every soundbite, every film clip that they can do, because I had this vision of officers of some organization dressed in what I call riot gear, coming in and just saying, we're going to walk side by side. We're going to go through this area. We're going to clean this mess up. Somebody's going to get hit with a club. Somebody's going to get pushed to the ground. Somebody hopefully won't get shot, but the media is going to be like, and look, these people were peacefully protesting. They're all high and they're just trying to visit outside this Starbucks. And in comes the big bully from the government. Doesn't that just fuel the problem even more? And how do you combat that from a PR standpoint or an observational standpoint?
you know, sometimes you just have to do right.
Amen.
You've got to restore order, and that's what we get paid to do. That's our
Right.
profession. That's what the government is here for. If local governments fail and they've agreed to withdraw and secede, leave those buildings there for that, for whatever they don't own those buildings. It's not there. They have no business there.
Right.
These are all criminal infractions that are happening here in place. We have social anarchy, and if local government's not going to take care of it, then it is the role of the federal government to step in and restore order here.
I mean, at the very least, you've got loitering, vandalism, just malicious mischief. I mean, at the very least, these people are not where they belong and forcibly taking that space.
Well, somebody pointed out earlier, and I didn't get a chance to get to it, that a lot of this is likely a result of the fact that we have not held anybody personally responsible for any of their decisions and actions and consequences of those decisions and actions. We have become a society that blames everybody else and holds everybody else but the person who actually perpetrated the offense responsible for that offense.
Right.
We'll see what happens in past riots historically. We see a lot of action later, or charges being filed, the video being gone through, and cases being made. But I think you have to look at this right now. What's the right thing right now for us to do? What can I fix today? What can I do today? And that is to remove these folks from these buildings and reoccupy them with government people who are paid to work there. All these things, that has to be, I can't get involved in what's going to happen in the future and perceptions from different people. They're going to be, I've got to do what's right and what's necessary to protect lives and property. And that's what has to happen here. I mean, and the longer we put that off, the worse it is.
Right.
How would you as a law enforcement person want to go back into that situation knowing that your mayor and your city council don't have your back, and you're probably just there for 2 minutes, and then as soon as order's restored, they come back in and they're going to tell you to get the hell out of the way again anyway? That's the problem I've got with this, is unless something changes up there, it's going to be a perpetual cycle here.
Could be.
It's a loony town.
I mean, it is what it is there.
Yeah.
They put those folks in place, and that's what they wanted. That's who ran for those offices.
They reap
Some
what
of the
they sow.
ideology that they bring forth. It'll be interesting to see. Interesting to see what kind of government they want moving forward here.
It's like they reap what they sow.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
amazing.
sometimes you just got to do right. I don't know if there's a better way to sum it up. Sheriff?
Yeah, and Sheriff, I'll tell you something, the overwhelming all of the comments on this show today, I would encourage you to go back and read. It's just been amazingly supportive. And again, it gives me the opportunity with you here as a symbol of law enforcement and responsibility, and with us here from a different county, to be able to say, I'm proud of our area. I'm proud of the way our folks have handled themselves. And I don't see, I mean, you are a law enforcement officer in an area that has some minority residents, and you folks have
Great folks.
peace and accord over there. We are the model for getting along. It doesn't have to be, nobody's oppressed, nobody's treated any differently for any particular reason. It's just.
And this is really the majority. And I'll tell you right now that.
Well, that's one thing that really strikes me is the irony here. You're a racist if you paint everybody that looks differently with one broad brush because the actions of something, right? A stereotype. Yet here they are, painting all law enforcement
Right.
with a broad brush because of the actions of this jackpot that killed George Floyd.
Right.
The logic defies me how you can stand one way and then flip-flop the other, because it doesn't, I can't make that
We know what the narrative
equate.
push here is.
I can't make it any more clear. Former Judge Posey says, great job, Sheriff. Thank you. And underneath, Sky Sanchez, still reeling from her forced penance of yesterday, says, it's safe to say we all support you, Sheriff. So, you've got the two extremes there.
Thank all the listeners for those positive comments about that. There are good law enforcement in Seattle also.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
There are good law enforcement there.
I feel bad for them because they're the ones being handcuffed by the ones that are supposed to have their
It all
backs.
comes down to employment, doesn't it?
Right.
It's an employment issue for those. Those folks are trying to get to retirement like everybody else.
That's right.
And when the mayor and so forth tells the police chief there, I hope the police chief is adamant that we should not have done that, but was forced to for an employment issue. And how far does employment go? At some point in time, you say, here's my badge, I'll find someplace else to work.
Right. That's what's happening in Minneapolis.
Well, it's interesting. Threaten the jobs of the police officers if they do something. Don't give a crap about the jobs of the people in the city
Right.
and their livelihoods.
The issue here, folks, listen, the issue here is we are anti-crime. Anti-crime period. I don't buy into all this racist crap, that's been going on in this country for the last 2-3 weeks now. And law enforcement, mainstream professional law enforcement doesn't either. We're anti-crime, and that's what we stand for. And that's what we're trying to do. Yet management and government decisions are being made from governors on down that are prohibiting law enforcement from working. And that's probably a time where the federal government's going to have to step in.
Yeah. And see, I think that's the ultimate goal of the left is they want something to happen that they can say, look what Donald Trump did. They were having a protest and Donald Trump killed people. That's what they want. They want blood in the streets.
Okay. Donald Trump also restored order here.
Right.
And replace things as it should be. And we got this country going back. Other than trying to dismantle it.
Right. Well,
You've got Joe Biden who's been there for dang near half a century. You've got Nancy Pelosi who's been there forever. You look at the people that have been placed on both sides of the aisle. There are a couple that come to mind, but there are a whole lot of people who have been entrenched at certain levels of government in this country and have vowed to try to change things and make a difference, which is absolute garbage because nothing's changed. There's your problem, folks. Get those people out. And don't get me wrong. I know in some cases, maybe it's lesser of two evils.
Right.
But
I don't want to go on a rant here at the end of the show. But, talking about DNC leadership.
There is none.
Those are some things that, there is. There's leadership.
It's just the wrong kind.
No, they want us to become a socialist, communist country, and that's the path that we will head if that's.
Caleb Shaw says, I appreciate your sheriff and your common sense. Common sense isn't all that common anymore, folks, and we're
except
seeing
on this show.
It's a crazy place. We're going to get out of here today, Sheriff. As always,
really appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate you listening.
Thank you for being the guy and that you are, and we appreciate you, folks. Heed this. Go back and listen to it again. Understand what's going on here, and then have a good weekend.
Appreciate the folks in Seattle getting up early to join us this morning.
Absolutely. Love your neighbor. Tell them hi from us. We'll talk to you early next week.
Bye, folks.